Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how I made this cute collage and painting. I like to mix painting and collage a lot because I feel like it adds a lot of interest and it's just a lot of fun because sometimes you don't feel like painting, you just feel like designing, and you're able to put the design and painting aspects together a little differently. So I'm starting off on a 8x10 canvas panel and I've got some scraps of paper. These were from a collage pack and I'm just kind of gluing them down. I'm using matte mod-Podge for this, and you can use any sort of matte medium or PVA glue that you have that's acid-free. That'll work fine. I like to use a brush to apply the glue, and I actually decanted my glue into a wide mouth jar so I could dip my brush right into it. You could also just squeeze them into a little plastic dish, like an old margarine tub is really great for that. And I just wanted to kind of paste these three pieces down on the paper so I have a little bit of rhythm and balance here. So I've got these three kind of rectangles. Finding things that kind of go together but are a little interesting is a great way to start a collage. So I started with these little bits of paper that were kind of like ledger paper. There's like a library card and a bit of like ledger script and another piece of ledger paper. And then I took some book pages and just kind of tore them into interesting shapes so I could have some text back there. It doesn't really matter what the book pages say. I have this old book I've been using for collage for a couple of years now, and you can get a lot of mileage out of one book. And I would recommend using something, maybe a book that nobody cares about, that's falling apart. Stuff like that will work really well for these collages, and you're saving it from the landfill in a lot of cases. And oftentimes your books will be on acid-free paper. One of the types of books I like to use a lot for crafts are the old Reader's Digest books, because the abridged books, because the library gets them and donated all the time for book sales, and they generally don't sell because people don't want the abridged books, but the paper is of beautiful quality, and then you have the lovely covers that you can do things with after. They always have a pretty pattern on them, so you can use them for altered art or other things like that. Now the little flower pieces there are from a washi sticker book that I got. I think it was from Scrapbook Pal, or it might have been from Amazon. I don't remember, but it was just like, they're like these kind of vellum washi stickers, but they collage really well. So I was kind of holding my breath a bit as I did that, because sometimes when you use vellum and you try to collage with vellum, it wrinkles because of the plastic content in the paper. But this glued down really good. I stuck them down. They were stickers, but I put adhesive as well. Now I'm using a piece of pattern tissue to go over the entire piece. I bought 4 boxes, big boxes of patterns at a yard sale for $5 a few years ago, and I picked through them and I pulled out the ones that I actually would make. And there were a lot of patterns that didn't have their envelopes, and there were patterns that were like, yeah, I'm not making that because I don't have little kids around anymore, and I didn't know anybody that needed the patterns. So I use those for collage, and they're really wonderful. And sometimes you'll find patterns like pattern tissue that has navy or red or green printing on it. This one had navy printing, which I thought was kind of neat, just something different than the regular black. And I also like to find patterns that are for children's clothing because they're a little more interesting. When you have patterns for adult clothing, you don't have as much, like you have larger pieces with no printing on them, but the kids' clothing patterns will have more printing, and I think that's kind of the interesting part to me. I thought about doing something that was going to be kind of fashiony for this, but then I thought, oh, I don't know, I think that might be a little too on the nose for this, so I thought I would do like a little cologne or perfume bottle with a flower in it. I thought that's kind of got that like powder room feel. I thought this would be something really cute to pop in a frame. It's 8x10, so it's a very easy size to find a frame for. You can even find them at like thrift stores easily, or dollar stores at that price. And I thought that'd be really cute, like hung in a powder room. So as I was doing this project, I was thinking that, yeah, I want to have something I can definitely varnish so that it would be protected from moisture. And this is such a great surface to work on, because after I put the pattern tissue down, I gave it a good coat of matte mod-Podge, and that gave me a really nice sealed surface to work on. It was great to paint on. The paint I'm using are the Himi Jelly Acrylics. I really enjoyed this paint. I got a set of these last year, and I thought, well, I'm going to use these for a while, because I thought for sure they would go just dried out before I could use them. But I was so intrigued by having all those colors out and at my disposal, not having to deal with tubes or bottles, that I couldn't resist. I had to try them, and I really like these. Now I have the spray that keeps it from drying out. It seems to have like a little bit of a glycerin or oily substance to it, and it smells so good. I think that spray, I don't know if it's the same as the gouache spray. I know they sell different sprays for the gouache and the acrylics, but it works great for the acrylics, and I haven't had any issue with them drying out. I just give them a good spray before I put the lid on. And there's like a silicone seal that comes with the acrylics that does not come with the jelly gouache, and I think that's why it doesn't dry out on me. But basically what I want to do is go really bright with my colors, go really chunky, and get this kind of like I don't want to say a base coat in, but it is kind of like a base coat because I'm going to be collaging over different parts of it. So I wanted to go more on the bold side just so that whatever ends up peeking through under the collage papers would have a good amount of color to them. Now I didn't, when I'm painting the leaves in here, I was intending on them not being collaged over because they're kind of small and I wouldn't want to be dealing with tiny little bits of paper. So I did try to make sure I was giving them enough detail and I had the colors pretty natural looking just so I wouldn't have to collage over them and tone them down if I didn't want to, because I wasn't planning on it. Also, I figured painting those and having them kind of like as a background pattern would be kind of neat. And because I intended to both paint and collage the flower on top, I just wanted to have that kind of flat and simple, but with enough detail and have the colors good enough that they would just be fine to be left alone. So this is such a fun technique because you're making all these little micro decisions as you go, but they're not stressful decisions because if anything isn't working out, you can always collage over it. I made sure to keep everything nice and flat. And that's a nice thing about this jelly acrylic is that it's a kind of a soft body paint. So it is like a flatter paint. It's not going to leave a lot of ridges that you're going to have trouble collaging over. It's just a really nice paint if you like to do mixed media, and I love to do mixed media. If I was going to say paint an acrylic painting from start to finish, I probably would use my golden open acrylics, and that's because they're more like oil paints and they stay wet longer. But if I'm going to do something where I'm going to be doing some stamping and some collaging and different mixed media techniques, I reach for these first. Now I'm starting to run low on some of the colors. There's only 12 mLs of color in each little pot because they're those divided pots, so that's about the same amount as a small tube of acrylic, so it's not a lot. It's kind of like the size that you get in like a trial size pack. So I am trying some different paints, thinking about refilling this palette. One of the paints that I'm trying are the Meeden fluid soft body. I don't know if they're called soft body or fluid, but they're in bottles. I'm going to try those compared to these and see if they might be a good option for refilling, because the thing I like about those is they actually have pigment information, and I think that texture, that matte finish is going to be very similar. Oh, that's the other thing. These paints are matte finish. The golden opens that I like to use are kind of glossy. Probably whatever the binder they need to stay wetter longer, but these have a beautiful matte finish that don't look plasticky like other acrylics, but I still get that bright color payoff. They're so much fun. Every product I feel like has pluses and minuses, but for me, the way I like to use these in mixed media, they're just my favorite acrylics for that purpose. I'll put a link to them if you want to go check them out. Maybe you want to try to DIY something like that. I'm sure you can DIY something. You can buy palettes that are like airtight, that have deep wells like that you could squirt your tube paint in, and you could try that. I actually bought some once. I haven't actually put anything in them yet, but it was like a 3-pack for like $14. I don't know if that deal's still there. If it is, I will link to it. But I mean, that would be a way that you could make something similar. I think you might want to put something like maybe a couple drops of glycerin in each color and, just spray it between use. But yeah, I mean, definitely you could try to DIY something. Of course, if it does go wrong and it molds, and you could waste quite a bit of paint. So I don't know. This set, I didn't think it was very expensive for what it was either. It was like I'm thinking it's around $30 or $35 for 48 colors, and I think they have one that's a little bit smaller. I would highly recommend giving it a try. Like I said, I've been using it for a year and a half. Get the spray too. I think the spray might be part of the reason it stays so well. You could probably make your own spray with water, alcohol, and glycerin, but I haven't done that, so I can't totally vouch for that. And now I went ahead and I pulled some collage pieces. So the best collage pieces I have found are the ones that and these are all gel prints, are the gel prints that I've done on deli paper or tissue paper or medical exam paper because they're so thin. I do have some prints that I've done on drawing paper as well, and those work pretty well. Look, that's from the, I think that's a print that I did on the Blick sulfite drawing paper. I really like prints on the Blick sulfite drawing paper. It comes in a variety of sizes and weights, and it's very, very cost effective. But it's kind of thick. So for collage, if you're doing a collage like this, you just have to be aware of it. Like those little petals I'm tearing off, those were also from that sulfite paper. So, it's a little bit thicker. so it doesn't seal down quite as smoothly as, you know, a tissue paper or a deli paper would. But, you know, it's nice to have those varieties of textures as well. So, you know, use what you have. I store my gel prints, and this is, I think, part of the reason I love doing this technique so much is I store my gel prints by their dominant color in large plastic envelopes. And I found, and I did a video on how I store them in case you're curious how I sorted and stored them. Because sometimes, you know, you've got some paper that's got some pink and got orange and it's got blue. It's got all these different colors. How do you know how to divide them up? I just put them in whatever color is the most prominent. So if it's mostly pink, I put it in the pink file. If it's mostly purple, I put it in the purple file. If I can't tell if it's like too evenly split, I'll cut the paper in half and put, you know, half in one color, half in the other. And there's a couple different pouches I use for storage. The ones that I really like are these. Well, I like them both, but the ones that I just wish they were a little bit bigger are these. I think they're like 14 by 14. Or maybe 13 by 13. They're these plastic, bright rainbow colored plastic folders. And I bought a pack of them. It actually came with 3 of every color. And so I split it with a couple of my friends. Those work great for storing those because you can visually see really quickly what color you're getting. But because I had some prints that were done on larger sheets of paper, I had to have some pouches that were bigger. And what I got for those were these big mesh zipper pouches. I think they were like, they had a European sizing to them. I'm thinking they were like B2 or B3 or something. I'll look at my order history and link them down below in case you're curious. You could obviously just use those. They are that clear mesh so you can kind of see through them. But I have them interleaved between the large bright colored plastic pockets, and they're in a shopping basket in my studio, and I can flip through and grab my papers really quickly. I find a lot of times that the patterns that are like this, that are kind of like crazy looking on deli paper with the tiny little prints and tiny little patterns, work the best. Because look, I just took a little slice, a little sliver of that honeycomb print and used that on there. It worked so well. And it's such thin paper that it worked really well. Another thing that I like to collage with is mulberry paper. And this was a piece that I don't even know why it was in my gel prints, probably because it might have come with something. I don't know. Anyway, I sorted it. Maybe I didn't want to put it back with all my mulberry paper, or I'd used it for a project and I decided to put it away with my collage paper, and I love that. And I was able to kind of cut it out so I could get that look of the, like, you know, when the light comes through a bottle and it casts like a color, but it's like darker on the edges. That's what I wanted to do there. And then if you got any pieces hanging over the edge, I like to flip it over and just cut it down with a knife or with scissors. Since I work on a silicone mat, I don't want to use a knife because I would cut right through it. Now I'm adding details, and to add details, I am using my Ohuhu brush pens. These are the acrylic marker brush pens. These are so wonderful. These have been such great gifts. I've been giving packs of these as gifts for like Christmas and stuff because they are so wonderful. They have such a responsive brush tip. You don't need to pump them to get them started. You just give them a shake and you're ready to go. These are the Ohuhu ones. There's also ones by Artix that are like almost identical. Either or, I would say look at the colors, see which has the colors you like. Ohuhu offers them in a nice zipper pouch, a zippered case full of, and the cases counts are like you can get a set of 24 or a set of 48. Artix has them in a cardboard box, like a chipboard box with trays, and they offer 30 or 60 count sets. So, you know, look at the colors, see what you like. I find the quality to be identical between the two. You just have to shake them before you use them. Now, if shaking is too much of a bother, you can also get the brush tip ones from Artix that have a cotton core that do not need to be shaken. And those work great too. I just tend to prefer these because I can see how much I have left in the marker, so I know I'm not going to be caught like out of ink in the middle of a project, so that's kind of nice. Neither of those are refillable, but Artix is coming out with a refillable marker that I can't wait to try because I think that will be really cool. I'm not sure if the brush tip or what, but I will be getting them into review shortly, so that'll be kind of fun. And now I'm just adding a little bit of a frame with some of this nice kind of aqua color. I think that's a really pretty color and goes nicely against the tan of the pattern tissue, and also is complementary to the blues and the pinks that are in there. And I just scribbled a little bit on my silicone mat. Silicone mat is so nice to work on, and just picking it up with the brush and just adding a little bit of like a rouging around the edge. And I think that finishes it off quite nicely. Of course, you could do that with acrylic paint. You don't need to have the markers. If you have paint and you want to use that, I could have gone back to my jelly acrylics with the brush, but then I don't have to dirty a brush if I use the brush markers, because they each have their own brush and I cap them when I'm done. Don't have brushes to wash, don't have brushes to deal with, which is kind of nice once you're to the end of a project and you're just putting little details. And that's another thing. I'm just putting little details. I don't want to accidentally like get a big glob of paint anywhere, get a big brush stroke of paint when I just want to kind of finish it off. And this was so much fun. After I was all done this, I did give the painting a varnish with some Liquitex gloss acrylic varnish to get everything to the same uniformness, because when I went to Collage, I used a PVA glue which had more of a gloss to it than the matte mod-Podge I used in the background. I could have done all of my collaging with the mod-Podge, but I just had that in a little bottle and it was more convenient. So I think I need to make a bottle of my matte mod-Podge so I have that ready to go as well. But mod-Podge is not a final sealer, so do make sure if you want to protect your work that you do use an actual acrylic varnish for your final stage, so it won't be sticky and you'll get that nice protection. I decided to tone down some of that hot pink with a little bit of brown, just added it in with a marker and used a damp brush to spread it around. And that's something you can also do. Just have a cup of water and a paintbrush handy when you're using the markers, and that way if you want to tint anything, like I was not super happy with all the brown from the pattern paper. I thought it was a little too samey, so I wanted to just add little bits of like a wash of pink here and there. So just by scribbling and then quickly brushing it out with the wet brush worked really well. And because I did like seal down all that pattern tissue with some mod-Podge, it had a little barrier, so I was able to put down the color and then spread it out with a brush very easily. If I didn't put anything over that pattern tissue, that ink would have been super blotchy because it would have soaked in to that paper and then would have been very hard to spread out. So I highly recommend, if you're going to paint over collage work, that you seal it down with like a matte medium or a matte mod-Podge, and that's going to work really great for giving you that nice smooth surface to work on. Because there's nothing more frustrating when you're painting than having your paint absorb and dry on you before you can spread it out. And that's a really easy way to prevent that. And I just kind of went in and used that same technique to add a little bit of a shadow with some brown in the background too. I love it because it's got bright poppy colors, it's got vintage looks. It's just fun. It was fun to create, and it was just one of those fun things to do when you don't know exactly what you want to paint. So I hope you give this a try, prep some canvases, and then paint on them later even if you're not feeling creative. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye!